And remember, guys, I didn't write the rule book. So welcome back to the sawmill, friends. As you can see, we've made a lot of progress over the past few days here for the foundation of the new shop. Let me show you guys what we've been up to here, and I'll see you back here in just a minute. You guys hang in there. All right, guys, so the demo for the old building is a work in progress. I'm working on that about 4 hours a day. I'll eventually get it all out of here. Probably take me a few weeks though. But over here, more pressing matters. We got the foundation ready for the new shop. We had to bring in 3 loads of shell or slate, whatever you want to call it, to pack this in and elevate this corner down here. And it looks pretty good right here, guys. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think we're going to do one more load tomorrow and extend that corner out a few more feet. But other than that, this side right here is pretty much done. After the building's up, I'll bring some 57 rock in here, which is 1 inch minus. Bring in here and put down, and maybe later on after this settles in and gets drove over with some machines over a period of time, I might extend the concrete over 10 more feet so the building is concrete everywhere inside. Does that make sense? That doesn't make sense. So here's what we're doing. This concrete slab is 20 by 70. The new shop is 30 by 72. So 10 feet of it over here and the full length will be exposed to the ground. I'll just put gravel in here. So later on, we might pour 10 by 70 slab, so we got a solid concrete slab for the whole building. That sounds a lot better, don't it? I think that's a lot clearer. That's about as clear as mud. But I think after tomorrow, when we bring in one more load for that corner and do a little bit more prep work up here, I need to get these bolts grinded off the slab right there. There's a few of those sticking up. Got some patchwork to do on the concrete. I'll take care of that after the building's up. And over here where that water source was, need to bust out that plastic and pour that with concrete as well. But other than that, we should be ready for this building, hopefully, after tomorrow. Keyword is hope. And I tell you what, guys, that was not me running the track loader, in case you didn't notice, over here on this work on this bank. That was my buddy Richard. That's the guy hauling the slate up here in his dump truck. He's been doing heavy equipment work for 30 years. I've only been doing it for a year or two. And he's a pro, guys. He is a pro. I got kind of nervous when I started getting to the edge right here. When he got to it, he just drove right off of it, patted it down, and came right back. He was sliding in the seat pretty good, but he says that's normal for steep work like this. But I tell you what, guys, it made me kind of nervous. I'm not sure if I could do that yet or not, to be honest with you. He was sliding around in that seat, bouncing back and forth, but he knows what he's doing. When it comes to jobs like this, if you have some heavy equipment like I do, find somebody that's a better operator for stuff like this, and that way to make sure it gets done right. Now today is Sunday, and I talked to the contractor yesterday. That hawk better stay away. He's flying way too low to the ground for my liking over here. My chicken's right here today. Although that mean rooster of mine, Mr. Earl, he would probably kill a hawk if it came down here and tried to mess with his ladies. He's a mean rooster. Man, he's mean. So anyways, I talked to the contractor yesterday over at Troyer Post Buildings. They're thinking they may be here Wednesday. So that gives me one more day to get things ready and 2 more days to work on this demo over here and getting it hauled out of here. So hopefully by Wednesday, we'll have everything ready to go and they can show up and install this building. You don't like that, do you? He sees that hawk over there. I can't talk today. That's a shocker. He's watching that hawk right there. That's what he's hollering for right now, letting those girls know that hawk is in the area. He don't like it. I never had a hawk attack my chickens though. Not one time. We've had chickens here for 3 years. Never had anything to attack them, actually. We've been pretty lucky so far. So anyways, they'll show up Wednesday and put this building up, and this building's gonna be 30 by 72. I think I told you guys wrong earlier. This pad's 70 foot long. The new building's actually 2 foot longer as well. And it's completely enclosed with 1 entrance door, and they'll frame out 2 equipment doors. We'll put garage doors on those later, 12 by 12s. But they said it will take 2 days to build this entire building. 2 days. That's pretty impressive right there. So anyways, guys, like I was saying, this pad is pretty much ready. You know, 1 more day of prep work and we are ready to go. I do need to come back here in the back. We're gonna do this tomorrow. Let me show you. I got a low spot right here in the back. We're gonna put some shale right there. And we're also gonna put some slate right there, because I don't know if you guys can tell on camera or not. This is kind of low and the elevation goes up, and it goes into that hayfield back there. I know, Earl, I know, everybody knows you're here, my goodness. So we're gonna haul in some slate as well, probably tomorrow if we have time, and build this up right here in this area right here. That way when it rains, the water will come over here and the other side and not pull down here at the bottom and go inside the building. That would be bad right there. So up here at the building site, there's really nothing for me to do right now besides clean up, and I'm not going to bore you guys with that. So we're going to head down to the sawmill and cut up some nice tulip poplar for some shiplap. You guys hang in there. All right, friends, on the sawmill is a tulip poplar. Some people call this poplar around here. Some people call it cucumber tree. And there's different terminologies for every region of this country as far as trees go, so don't beat me up in the comments. That's what people call it around here, but most people do call it poplar or yellow poplar for the most part, but a few of the old timers still call it poplar. This is 10 foot. It's actually a little bit over 10 foot. We're gonna be sawing this into shiplap blades. And here's what we're gonna do on this. I want these to be 9 inches wide. After they're kiln dried, I'll bring them back down here. I'll run them through the edger at 7 3/4. So we're gonna go from 9 inches to 7 3/4, and then we'll go through the molder down to 7 1/4, and that will be our finished board. So that's how I like to do shiplap here at my sawmill. Other people will probably do it differently. My good buddy Jake Dean, probably the best sawyer that I know as far as sawmilling goes, and also mill work down in Georgia. He's the guy in the cowboy hat you see in these videos about once a year when we go down there for the meetup. He taught me to do it on those dimensions, and it works out perfect. So if you're making shiplap out there, try this out. Do a 1x9, reduce it down to 7 3/4 after kiln drying through an edger. You want to send it through an edger before it goes through the molder, because if you don't send it through an edger and it's got a lot of bows in it, my goodness, bows, B-O-W, look over my dialect here today, my goodness. If it's got a lot of sweeps to it, you want it to be as straight as possible before it goes through that molder. If it's got a crook to it, sometimes it will do the same thing in that machine. The crook will follow the molder, and you'll have a shiplap on both sides, but you'll still have that bow in it. So it's very important when you take those boards out of the kiln and before they go through your molder, your table saw, if you're making shiplap that way, dado blades or a router, there's all kinds of different ways. It's extremely important to straighten them up first for the best board possible. And you can do that on a straight line rip. You can do it on your sawmill. Put them on here, rip them down, flip them over and edge them that way. Or my preferred method is the edger over here. I think it's the most accurate, and it's probably the fastest because it's doing both sides at one time. So here in Northeast Tennessee, we measure our logs on the Doyle scale. This is a nice ruler. Log-Right sells these. I bought this several years ago. If you want one of them, I'll leave a link down below in the video description. This is 22 inches on the small end, and it's got the Doyle scale on here. I know this is probably upside down to you guys, but 22 inches, a 10-foot log, should have at or around 202 board feet. We'll talk about Doyle scales here at the end of this video, and I'll explain how some people think this scale is not accurate. And sometimes it's not accurate on smaller logs, but the larger ones, it's usually right on the money. And on the sawmill, we got a Joe Maine Silver Tip Turbo 7. That's a brand new blade. If you want to try them out, call Joe Maine. His cell phone number is in the video description. And some of these boards today will be wider than 9 inches, so I'm going to clear off the edger and we'll be running it today as well. That's one thing about these edgers, they're awesome to have, but I have a bad habit of putting stuff on them. I'll get that cleared off here in just a minute. We'll run the edger today. And one more final thing, and I promise we'll get started. I cannot control all these ads on these videos. People have been reaching out to me about the political ads for Democrats, for Republicans, blah, blah, blah. I don't talk about politics on this channel, but there's a lot of ads going on videos right now, especially since the election is, gosh, it's less than a month away. And I can't really control that, so I don't put those ads on here. So I'm not for them or against them. I have no preference as far as these ads go. So just know that. So if you see an ad on somebody you don't like and it's on this channel, I didn't put it there. Trust me, I would not go there. You'll never hear politics discussed on this channel, ever. I mean ever. You guys will never hear about that. We hear about it enough. All right, guys, that didn't take too long. Now, these boards back here on the table, how many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6 of them. We will run these through the edger so we can get our 1x9s out of these. And most of them are kind of low grade. Got some knots in the middle. Got some live edge or wane on the outside right there. We'll get some good blanks for them though to make shiplap later. We'll run those through the edger right now. And then we'll come back over here and we got our 9-inch cant, and we'll just saw down through this one of these boards. Will actually be finished and ready to go to the kiln here in a few weeks. And always remember, friends, proper sawing. See the pith right there in the middle? It's cracked pretty bad, but It doesn't go in too deep, as you can tell. When you're sawing lumber, always work around the pith. Keep it right in the middle of whatever you're working around, and also the cathedral grain, and you'll have very good lumber come out of your logs. Always remember that. Never have the pith, like say for instance, this was my 9-inch cant and I was ready to saw my 1-inch bores, and let's say the pith was like right there or way over here. It's not the proper way to do it. Try to keep it right there in the middle and always work around it. I didn't write the rule book. That's just the way it is as far as sawmilling goes. Work around the pith, keep it in the center. You do that and you'll be just fine. All right, guys, now we're gonna warm up the edger. If you're new to this channel, this is a Wood-Mizer EG200 twin blade edger. I think it's about a 24 horse Yanmar diesel right there. And look over the mess, guys. This is for the new building. This is some insulation and that stuff down there. I got stuff scattered everywhere at the farm right now. So this edger, friends, is really easy to set up. This is a fence right here. So if I just want to do one side or one edge, I put the fence down. If I want to do both edges, I raise the fence up. That's what we're doing right now. There's 2 circle saw blades underneath that cover. There's some rollers that feed the lumber in. Of course, we have a roller table on this side and that side. And this is portable. You see the trailer under it, so you can take it with you to the job site if you need to. And right here is the dial indicator to set the width of your board. And it's pretty easy, guys. There's not much to it. But if you run a sawmill and you're really serious about your sawmill business, you need an edger. Trust me on that. I didn't have one for a long time. I got this year, and I would not be without it. All right, guys, got that finished up. Got a pretty good amount of 1x9s out of that log. Got a stack right there on the mill, back here on the table. Then over here are the ones that came off the edger. And in case you're wondering, I saved the side cuts off the lumber. It goes through the edger. Most of them I can save and get something out of. Those are about 3 inches wide. I'll run those through the kiln, and that's good for trim and moldings and just stuff like that. Now there is a little bit of waste when it does go through the edger, and the real slim boards with a lot of bark on them go over here in this pile, but that's not too bad. Edging lumber on an edger and not on the sawmill is just like night and day, the difference of it. I've been edging boards on a sawmill since I've had one back in 2010. That's when I bought my first Wood-Mizer. And edging lumber on a real edger and not the sawmill is really nice, guys. I'm telling you, if you have a sawmill and you're serious about it, get an edger and you'll thank me later, trust me. Before we go here, in reference to the Doyle scale, a lot of guys use the international scale. There's several out there. Doyle was probably the most popular one, at least around here. When you think about the Doyle scale, a lot of people will say you get more lumber on the Doyle scale. Well, you do if it's a smaller log. So if the diameter is like 15 inches, it kind of punishes the logger as far as when they bring their logs into the sawmill and they get paid by the board footage. So a smaller log, let's say it's 15 inches, will actually show less board feet than you will get on a bandsaw. Now a circle sawmill, it's pretty even. A bandsaw, you're gonna get more lumber out of it because the kerf is so much smaller. The kerf is the amount of material moved by the sawmill when it makes a cut. A circle sawmill is about 1/4 of an inch, bandsaw mill about 1/8 of an inch, and it depends on how much set you have in your teeth. So having said all that, a Doyle scale is really inaccurate on smaller logs. So if I buy a log from a logger and it's 15 inches on the diameter, I'm gonna get some oversaw out of that and get a lot more lumber than the Doyle scale shows. But when the Doyle scale really starts getting even, or more accurate is a better word, is when you start getting larger logs. So say you get like the 20 and 25 inch, 30 inch diameter logs, it's pretty on the money as far as the diameter goes on the board footage you get out of that log. So smaller logs, you'll get more lumber out of them, it's not as accurate. Larger ones, 20 inches and up, and maybe about 18 inches when it starts evening out, that sounds better, is when you'll start getting an accurate board footage out of that log. So 24 inch diameter, if it says it's 260 board feet, that's the number out of my head, I'm not sure what it is, to be honest with you. It's usually right at 260 board feet, whereas a smaller log, you guys get what I'm saying, you get more board footage at the sawmill. So when people talk about the Doyle scale not being accurate, it is on larger logs. On small logs, not so much. So in closing here, friends, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something today. And if I can help you out in the comments below, leave me a question. I'll try to answer it. And I'll see you guys back here on the next video. Thanks for watching.